So hey guys, welcome to my 10th episode reaction for Gotham on Fox. Um, what Fox needs to be doing is disregard the earlier statement I had for my episode 9 reaction video. For that video, I said that this will be the last episode of season 1. Apparently, that's not the case. What Fox is apparently doing is um, they're going to give you more season 1 episodes in January. So it sounds kind of like what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did for those who watched that last year, where they took a pretty long break in between the season. So, like I said, disregard what I said earlier. It's this. This is not the last season 1 episode. This isn't the season finale. This is just kind of their stopping point until they have new episodes to show in January. So back to the episode 10 stuff. For my reaction tonight, basically, I'll give you a brief synopsis here, quick. I don't know why I said quip. Well, anyway, basically, Alfred Pennyworth has to deal with two assassins who seem to be after both Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne. And so basically, he gets the help of James Gordon again, since James Gordon's still on the Wayne parent murder case. And basically, the two of them try to figure out who these assassins are, how they could track them down, how exactly they knew where Selina Kyle was and where Bruce Wayne was. Since Harvey Dent kind of promised James Gordon when he first started working for him that he'd kind of keep things secret with that stuff. And so throughout this episode, they try to figure things out and try to basically get rid of these assassins who are after both Bruce and Selina. While that's going on, Selina Kyle is trying to help Bruce Wayne with his self-training. She's helping him getting a better taste of the streets of Gotham City, since Bruce doesn't know a lot about it, since Alfred kind of locks him up in the Wayne Manor all day long, basically. So Bruce gets a little bit more of a taste of that this episode. And then that's kind of cool because, Bruce Wayne, we do see him quite a bit in other episodes, but this was the episode I would say that we really get to see a lot of him. And so I think that's kind of cool for those who were hoping to see more of Bruce Wayne throughout the course of the show. And then James Gordon basically has a major disagreement with the mayor of Gotham City. And for those who've been watching earlier, you would know that, him and the mayor have not gotten along very well. So as a result, James Gordon is reassigned to a revived Arkham City project, or Arkham Asylum project. I'm sorry. There's so many Arkham Asylum terminology in the Batman world. I was probably thinking of the video games too, called Arkham City. But yeah, basically he's assigned to Arkham Asylum again. The project's revived. It was on hold for the longest time, and now that it's revived again, they want James Gordon to basically supervise the project while that gets up and going, while Blackgate Prison is still kind of the major prison in Gotham City. So for my positives and negatives of tonight's episode, you guys, Jada Pinkett Smith's character of Fish Mooney does return for this episode again. I just love her in this role. I love seeing how we get a character that we're not as familiar with, and through this show we're going to be able to get to know more about her. And like I said, because we know so much about the Falcones and the Maronis from the comics and from the movies, I think it's kind of cool how they threw in a character that we really don't know a lot about. Like I said, she wasn't even used in the comics so far, so basically she gets to make up this character any way she wishes. And it's just a really cool performance just because it's so interesting and so unique. And it's so interesting to see her get kind of tied up with both the Falcones and the Maronis. So just really cool performance for her. Really, once again, huge thumbs up to her again. Once again, just really good performance. And then I like how we got to see Bruce Wayne kind of get more of a street life experience in this episode. It was just nice to see him out of Wayne Manor once for an episode and get a taste of the streets of Gotham. And I also like to see the tougher side of Bruce Wayne. I like seeing him deal with criminals on the street of Gotham and, being able to handle stuff that Selina Kyle randomly threw at him that he's not used to having because, he's used to either drowning himself in a pool or doing things back at Wayne Manor that you would never expect a child to self-train themselves to do. So, and then I also like the use of Selina Kyle in this episode. There's definitely still that hint of romance. For those who know a lot about Batman, this really isn't a spoiler because several sources of Batman already use this, whether it's a comic book or a TV show or a movie. But yeah, Selina Kyle and Bruce Wayne do eventually have a relationship. That's more so when, Selina actually becomes Catwoman and Bruce actually becomes Batman. But I like how they're very much hinting toward that, though, and I like how Selina Kyle is kind of showing him something that will obviously become very useful to him when he becomes Batman later on. So once again, just a really cool use of Selina Kyle. And after seeing basically ditching the character for so many episodes now, I like how they're finally putting her back to good use. And then this episode finally revived, and we haven't even seen her since the pilot episode of the show. They finally revived the character of Poison Ivy. Obviously, it's her as a young girl, and I think his name is Mario Pepper. Yeah, in this show, she is the daughter of him. You know, obviously pretty big part in the pilot episode for those who saw that. But I like how they brought back the character, and I'm hoping that they're going to do more with her. I know it's quite clear that Poison Ivy isn't Poison Ivy yet, but she is called Ivy, and there's a lot of characteristics about her that will obviously cross over to when she actually becomes Poison Ivy in the Batman story. So, just once again, I love the character. I'm glad that they finally brought her back, even if it was very briefly. And hopefully, in more episodes, we get to see more of Poison Ivy. Now, for my negatives of this episode, I thought the character of Harvey Bullock felt really inconsistent in this episode. And though his character hasn't been completely consistent in the show, I felt that in tonight's episode, his character was really inconsistent. I didn't like how one moment he's completely fighting with James Gordon, and then he joins in with him, and then he fights with him again, and then he joins in with him again, and it was just really inconsistent and really annoying. So I'm hoping for future episodes they can at least keep him consistent as far as him agreeing or him disagreeing with what James Gordon is doing. Because in this episode, he was just kind of all over the place. And to be honest, for the plot that they were going for in tonight's episode, I don't really feel like they needed him. I know he's an important character in the show, but I really didn't feel like they needed him this time around. Maybe he could have just been doing paperwork or something to get him out of this episode. Because, like I said, they really didn't need him for this episode. I don't know why they had to throw him in there out of the blue. So, and then my other negative is I feel the Penguin side of the story is kind of being ditched, and I don't know why. And because, Penguin has been such an important character of the show, obviously he played an important role in the pilot episode, and I don't really know why they're just kind of throwing him to the side. I don't know if they're building something, but I want to see more of that character, and I want to see his story continue because what they were doing earlier was great. I don't know why they're not really continuing his side of the story too well at the moment. And then that goes to my last negative, which I really want to see more continuation of the villainous characters. We need to see Balloon Man still. We need to see, does Edward Nygma become the Riddler before Bruce Wayne becomes Batman? I know in the comics, I think he becomes Riddler when Bruce Wayne is Batman. So I don't. There's so many open doors right now. I feel like, and there's so many villains that they're throwing at the show. I don't really know, who they're going to continue with and who are just kind of guest characters. Because at the moment, they all kind of are guest characters, and you don't really quite know, is this person going to be big later on? Is this person going to be big later on? Is this person going to be back for season 2? So in a way, there's almost too many open doors. So hopefully they're going to close them or actually continue them since they have so many villains thrown at us right now. So overall, I did enjoy tonight's episode, and hopefully when the show continues in January, for the remainder of season 1, hopefully we get to see quite a few treats, and hope to see you guys here later for either a movie review or for, I don't know, maybe some Christmas related stuff going on later in the month.